welcome into the DNVR Avalanche podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Use code DNVR when you sign up for a new account to get amazing odds boosts every single night. Rudo and Blais coming at you live as the Avs lose to the Washington Capitals 3-2 in regulation. Just their 5th regulation loss at home this season before anybody hits any panic buttons. If you are hitting a panic button, the Avs lost both games to the Capitals.
Yeah.
The only team they have not gotten a single point against this year.
One early in the season, and then one at the very end.
I guess that if the Avs face the Caps in the Cup Finals, it's over. They can't win.
Bad bookends.
You're just done. No chance. Top to bottom. Just call it quits because that's the end of it. Look, the Avs did not play particularly well in this game. I don't think anyone is going to make the argument that they did. Felt a lot like a letdown after they clinched. To me, it felt like they were kind of stuck in second gear for a lot of the game. Still things to like, Blais?
I didn't like Jack Johnson's game.
Okay, let's start with the things not to like.
But, I mean, on the positive notes, though, like, Bo looked good.
He did.
He's moving the puck well. I thought he made some great moves out there, some great plays. Looked like he was reading what was coming at him situationally pretty well. So, got to be excited about that. I don't know. It was a sluggish game. I'm not going to discount Washington because they are a very good hockey team, and they came out and they kind of made sure that the Avs didn't have a lot of chances, a lot of shooting lanes. Like, the Avs thrive off of just getting a lot of quantity on net, and they definitely held them back. I think Avs ended up with 25 shots on net, it was
very low event hockey, for sure.
Very bad for the Avalanche.
Not the second period alone I think they had 4 or 5 shots on goal only in the second. And it's not like they were just getting dominated. Washington had 6.
Yeah.
It was just nothing happened.
Yeah, that second period was a yawn of a period.
Yeah.
It was nothing going on, just a lot of transition play, then pucks in the corner. It just wasn't fun to watch whatsoever.
It was not at all by any stretch. Yeah, so final shot us on goal totals, 27 for Washington, 26 for Colorado. So,
yeah,
not a ton going on there top to bottom. For 60-second game review, I'll take it this time. The first period saw a goal go to either team. Washington, I would say, had the first half of the first. Avs kind of better in the second half of the first. They get rewarded with it. Valeri Nushuchkin scoring. The second period we already kind of talked about. Absolutely awful period to watch. The Caps get 1 power play goal there. The third period, the Avs somehow tie it, which a goal I'm sure we will talk about quite a bit in a little bit. But then they end up giving it right back less than 2 minutes later. I guess it was 2.5 minutes later. 3-2 is your final. Again, it certainly offensively, it just felt like the Avs never quite got it in gear. Came up a little bit short, and I don't know, maybe they partied too hard after clinching because...
Well, even if you look at the game, there were chances to
Definitely
go up on this. Like, there was some posts, some luck, you got to give it to the Capitals. They had a lot of blocked shots, or at least it felt that way. I haven't looked, but
certainly a lot of affected shots, if not blocked. Yeah.
It seems like they definitely game planned for making sure that they kind of shut down the Colorado Avalanche's defense as well.
Well, I mean, look who they targeted, particularly on the power play. They were just swarming Cale Makar. They're like, don't give him anything clean. And he really didn't get anything clean at the end of the game. So it functioned. I guess we can actually talk about this, first of all. The Avs go 0-for-3 on the power play. Their first 0-for-9 on the power play in like a month, it feels like. Obviously, nothing you're going to lean too much into given how good it's been. But... we did see them go back to that bumper-ish play a little bit again, and they come up empty. How much of that do you think is a strategy decision as opposed to Bednar just saying, let's try some stuff?
I mean, the bumper play?
Yeah.
I think it's let's try some stuff just in case other teams game plan for what they've been doing.
Yeah.
Being able to switch up your power play into something else that people haven't seen or are not used to. Is always good. Just having options, right? Like, because different teams play different styles of PK. Like we were talking about tonight, definitely Washington has a more active penalty kill where they're coming out, they're challenging the points, and that's on design. They know that the Avalanche, that their power play runs through the defense. So if you can close that space up there and make it uncomfortable for them, just make them think for a second that something might happen or there might be a poke check there. You take away the options that they usually have up there, a little bit more time just to think about what they're going to do. Yep. And they executed that well.
Yeah, full credit to Washington here. I thought they played a pretty quality game. They set a tone where they wanted to play things slow, and the Avs kind of let them.
Yeah.
And, I'm not going to take anything away from them. I think they are a good team over there.
They are
for
a
sure.
very good team.
So I do feel like sometimes we forget there's a whole other team on the other side of the ice, and you got to give credit where credit's due to Washington on that front.
Are you gonna talk about Ovi right now?
So it's not. I don't really want to focus on Ovi, but we can talk about Ovi.
Just kind of go over it.
So I'll start here before we get into Ovi because I want your opinion on this, Blaze. You played at a reasonably high level of hockey. How do you manage a game like this where you feel like the refs are a little all over the place? You're not getting consistency out of them. How do you deal with that as a player?
As a player,
yeah.
I mean, you just have to be a little bit more conservative. Anything that you're going to do where you're going to reach or anything like that, anything that can be construed as a penalty, right? Like hands, hooking, all that stuff. You kind of have to take that out of your game, knowing, and you just can't get emotional about it, right? Like when you are getting hooked. Yeah. When you feel like those calls aren't being made, if you start letting that seep into your head a little bit, then you stop forgetting about the goal, which is to win the game, and you're more focused on chirping the refs, being upset, and not focusing on what you're supposed to be doing.
Do you think because I to a certain extent I believe this is true in almost every sport. A lot of the time, the big name players are going to get more calls.
100%.
So are players aware when it's like they're like, oh, that's Ovechkin, I got to be careful, or is it kind of a just whatever happens?
Well, I mean, you're still going to play the guy hard, but if anything happens, that call is going to go against you, right? If it's a 50-50 call, he's getting that call.
Yeah.
And if it's a superstar player, it's probably more like 60% of the time. It's like a 60-40 split that he's going to get a call no matter what. So, I mean, I don't like it, but it's just something that happens. And, I don't think it's dictated. It's just human nature when you see a high level athlete that, even like the Avs should know this. We see it from night to, like you have Cale Makar, which he draws penalties.
Yep.
Mac draws penalties.
Yep.
And that's the same thing with Ovi. Ovi draws penalties.
Yeah, and for the record, outside of the one penalty that was pretty blatant that he took on Makar that went uncalled, I had no problems with Ovi's game tonight. I don't think he dove. I don't think I thought he actually played pretty hard tonight. To be honest with you, I think Ovi deserves a lot more credit than I saw the Avs fan base giving him tonight.
Well, he draws that penalty and then scores the goal. Like that's what you want from your high-end players.
He did all the thing. If you've ever skated backwards in your life and had someone run into your skate, I don't think you understand how hard it is to stay upright in a situation like that.
I mean, yeah, that's super hard. It's kind of like just being slew-footed. Anytime you get that pressure on your heels, that forward motion on your heels, if you're not ready for it, you're going to end up on your ass.
Yeah. It wasn't a flop. I think there's an argument that you could make that, hey, they hadn't called this and tripping in multiple situations on the Avs side, so I totally understand the argument of inconsistency from the refs there, but I don't think it's a flop.
You'd almost have to make that like a rule change because you see that a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of penalties that look exactly like that, and it always is going to go to the guy skating. So,
well, I don't even think Ovi really stuck his leg out here. Blaze and I were talking about it when it happened. They're like, and we were both like, Sturm just run directly into him, and you won't get that call. So it's far from a perfect world. I don't know. I didn't love the refs tonight, but it wasn't egregious, I would say. I don't think it was awful.
No, I think you hit it. Like it's the inconsistency that is just so hard for players, and it just I think a lot of that too takes a lot of the flow out of a game from like a perspective like the way that we're watching it, right?
100%.
Like the flow just goes out of there because the players are so unsure of what the rule set is for this game. And so you just see a lot of choppiness.
Yeah, well, especially this was a 1-goal game for its entirety, right?
Yep.
Team gets up 2-3. They say, all right, let's figure out what we can and can't do in this hockey game.
Right.
When you can't afford that extra penalty, you do get a little bit of that stiffness to the hockey game, top to bottom. So Avs end up giving up the first goal of the game to Garnet Hathaway on a play that I totally remember and didn't fall asleep during this game because, boy, was it slow. Oh, right. This is the one where Jack Johnson just decides not to play defense.
Well, Jack Johnson, didn't play defense on this one. And on the third goal, definitely was active in letting them score. So, again, we don't bring this graphic up all the time, but Jack Johnson deserved it tonight.
He's definitely the pizza man tonight. There is no doubt about. We need a pizza sponsor again. Bring back Sexy Pizza. What is that? DiGiorno he's got there?
It's Red Baron.
Red Baron. There you go. All right. Red Baron, call us. All right. It was no two ways around it. It was a just brutal night for Jack Johnson. Not his best. Buddy.
Yeah. So what happens to Jack Johnson after this game? I mean, this isn't something that you can hide and be like, oh, this is a defensive breakdown. That third goal was on him. That was just a brutal pass. I mean, I know he's getting pestered, but why are you throwing that puck to the middle of the ice when all you have to do is go
just
high,
flip
hard
it
off
out?
the glass?
It's.
They've been yelling at him since he was a squirt to do that. So.
And he never did it back then either. So
yeah, he gets rotated. Love it.
So here's the thing. Does he actually get rotated? Because Devon Taves is not going to come on the trip. He's going to be out for the next couple of games. I'm not saying that it's the wrong answer. Rotating him could very well be the right answer. But I want you to understand that if you're rotating him and not playing both the Johnsons, that means Curtis McDermott is playing defense.
Yeah.
So just know what you're getting yourself into. And I didn't even mind McDermott tonight. I think he played pretty well. I think he did at least was a physical body to exist for Tom Wilson.
He laid some licks out there.
But on the one hand, the Avs are saying, hey, we're going to rest all these guys. We're going to get healthy for the playoffs. We're going to do this. On the other hand, you're still not giving McDermott real minutes as a defenseman.
Yeah.
So you're really running 5 defensemen with him in the lineup, and you're burning out guys' legs.
Yep.
Don't love it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think a message has to be sent here with this game tonight. And, I mean, even if you're just swapping out the Johnsons here, that's fine. As far as playing time, that is a little bit more concerning. It's really like, what are you going to do down the stretch with these games, right? Like, what is your goal here? Is it to get everybody healthy, or is it to win these games down the stretch and make a run for that President's Cup? I think if you're trying to make a run for the President's Cup, you're going to stretch these guys. But I think as you're starting to see these games go on right now we're talking about a game 6, like 6 games left, basically, right? After tonight. So I say you start resting guys and let McDermott play, 18, 22 minutes a game.
If you don't even really care if you lose all 6, right? I don't think they will lose all 6.
No.
And I'm sure they don't want to lose all 6, but from a standpoint of what's left in the season, I guess they lose the President's Trophy if they lose out. But that's literally it. They would still be the second best team in the league.
The other crazy thing too is they just went on a 9-game win streak.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's like this has to happen at some point, right? And it's against a good team in the East. Now, only playing them twice and losing to them is like, that sucks, but I don't think there's anything to read into about well, if they see them, in the Stanley Cup, that there would be some type of issue there.
No, I don't read that far into it.
Especially with the lineup that we're talking about. Like, the Avs are about to get healthy again.
The Avs are literally down at least 4 dudes tonight.
Yeah, and a little scary, too, with that Josh Manson.
Yeah.
Like, when he went down in the corner there, it must have just banged his knee or something kind of weird, because he went off the ice and actually went off the bench to get looked at.
And that's not like the Kadri injury, right? Where like with a shoulder you can come back and still kind of play through it. If you mess up your knee, you're not coming back if it's actually messed up.
Yeah.
So
Kadri's is like you're fine until you stop playing, and then that thing
gets real sore real fast.
Yeah. Brutal. Bunch of knots. It's not fun. Yeah.
So thankfully Manson seems totally fine. And that's, someone like him gets hurt, that's bigger implications to the Avs playoff.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like right now you're putting these guys in bubble wrap and just being like, hey, let's finish out these 6 games. Let's give it the old college try. And let's get out of here healthy and get ready for the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that is the plan. So if you want to get ready for the playoffs, go on over to DraftKings Sportsbook. Use the code DNVR when you sign up. You can bet $5 on the NBA playoffs right now as the Nuggets are currently playing. I can't see the score. I think it looks bad.
It is.
So maybe you want to bet against the Nuggets.
They're down by 11, it looks like right now.
It doesn't matter. You can bet on the Nuggets and they can lose with the $5, and you get $150 in free bets, all hooked up from DraftKings. And then you can take that $150 and bet on literally whatever you want on the entire site, ranging from hockey to badminton to what's pickleball?
Sure. Yeah, pickleball is awesome.
Yeah, it's just like small tennis, right? That's
miniature tennis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I figure.
Okay. I've never played. I don't actually know.
I love tennis. I have never played pickleball, but I want to.
There you go. So go bet on some pickleball over at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Other terms, restrictions, and conditions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. The Avs did get on the board off of a nice Valeri Nushuchkin shot, his 22nd of the year, also his 400th game of his career.
Yeah.
So good for Val.
That's awesome.
I do like to see that Val has kept it pretty darn consistent across this year. There have been some hot streaks, of course, but he hasn't really had one of those really long extended streaks with no offense at all. So
I think the biggest critique we had throughout the year was he just didn't look right when the Avs were fully realized and missing just Landeskog.
Yeah.
He looks a little out of place on that first line, but I mean, tonight thought he played very well. Obviously, getting the goal is a good way to measure it.
Certainly makes you look good.
Yeah. Felt like he was filling it up on that first line tonight.
And the other Av, if Val wasn't like 5 inches taller than him, you could really, one could replace the other. I think Artturi Lehkonen has been excellent since he joined the Avs, and especially the last couple of games, you can see, he's finding it. He's figuring out where he needs to be. He's figuring out how to get the puck in the back of the net with this team.
Well, don't tell him that he's smaller, because, man, that guy goes to the dirty areas.
He plays like he's hard. 8 feet tall, for sure.
Well, and his motor is just unreal. I mean, the puck tracking ability of him. Oh my goodness!
I heard he packs a good truck.
Yeah, packs a good truck. Oh man. No, but I mean, he's just all over it. I mean, taking away time and space and just being a nuisance to the other team, and then also just has a great skill set in front of that net.
Agreed. That's his first couple of games when he got here. I was like, all right, I see the motor. I see his willingness to do all the work. He looks great. Wasn't sure about the skill level.
Yeah.
In the last couple of games, you're like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
He's a goal scorer. Okay, we're good. Let's go. The other side of this conversation, which, by the way, we're brought to you by Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR. You can go get Bunch on Tap down at the bar. P.S. You're going to want to be here for when postseason starts.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be hopping in here.
Oh yeah,
just putting it that way to you. Blais, you were a believer on Lehkonen's goal that it wasn't goalie interference. I was not a believer.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, I know the puck's not covered, so there's always like that weird gray area there. But when you push a guy's pad,
and look,
I get where you're coming from.
I just, by the rule book, it impeded Samsonov's ability to make a save. It did.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any argument against that. He clearly pushed his pad into the net. And to me, that's goal interference every time. But as Chad is saying, as Blaze is saying, the puck was 100% loose.
It's loose, and it's the motion of it going in there. It's not. I mean, he did go in there, and he's going after the puck, so it was puck and then a little bit of pad. And as you start slowing that down and slowing it down, it's like, oh my God, look, he's just pushing that guy's pad into the back of the net. But it's a bang bang play, and you know what? He won. He beat the goaltender that was on a non-frozen puck.
Puck was loose. Give you credit there. I do think Lehkonen at least got a piece of the puck.
Yeah.
If you want, I know that's an argument that gets used pretty regularly. I don't know the 100% the rule book context on that, but and look, there are numerous views of plays like that where the goalie does hold his pad on the line and the puck doesn't go in. So maybe that's the argument. Samsonov just needs to be a little bit stronger on his pads there, I guess. Certainly not complaining for the Avs. You take that goal however you can get it. A lot of people were tweeting at me when it happened that, Joe Pavelski kind of scored the same goal against the Avs a month or two back, where I guess if the puck's loose, you can just push the goalie's pad into the net. I guess that's fine.
Well, the minute it went to review, we just looked at each other, and I was like, well, it's a 50-50 chance now. Who knows what's going to happen here? Because no one knows the rules around the goaltender.
Genuinely. If you think there's any chance that goalie interference might have happened, just throw the flag out there and hope for the best.
Yeah, we were definitely on the opposite sides of that was a goal, that wasn't a goal.
Yep.
But still.
Went the Avs' way this time, so you don't complain when things go your way. That is certainly part of this hockey game, no doubt. As Caps got some calls, Avs got a goal out of it. Unfortunately, that tied it up 2-2 as they had already fallen behind. But the ensuing power play that they get because of the challenge, and then it was a good goal.
Hot garbage?
I mean, not only was the power play bad, it just completely drained anything the Avs had going, right? And that in a game where it felt like they were struggling to get it going in the first place, 2 minutes like that is like, okay, they're in trouble.
Yeah. The thing is like, you want to say that these guys are professionals and that, they're just going to come out and just take every game the same way, right? Like that's what you're supposed to do as a professional. Like there's small highs and lows, but after clinching on Saturday
in a crazy game,
right? Like the adrenaline rush that they got, the highs that they're on about clinching, there's just not going to have that like same type of intensity. And then to find out that, 3 guys are going to be sitting as you start going into these rotations, you're just kind of knocking the wind out of these guys' sails.
Yeah.
And it's just hard to be up for a game like this, especially one where you're not being able to do what the Avs are known to do.
Yeah.
Which is to put a lot of shots on net and control
and
the
just
puck.
Fly up and down the ice. And definitely not their style of hockey. And I don't want to understate. This was a decent game from the Avs. Obviously, the Jack Johnson issues on the back end are not great. Obviously, you don't love it stylistically for the Avs, but hopefully the last time I have to say this about Kadri, they're without him.
Yep.
Landeskog, they're without him. Not to mention Taves, EJ,
right.
Cogs.
Yep.
So for a team that's missing certainly at least 4, if not 5 guys that are going to be in their lineup come game 1 of the playoffs, they just went toe-to-toe with the Capitals in a style that you genuinely probably don't want the Avs to play, but they kept up. They made it a competitive hockey game.
And 3 of those guys are 3 very key players for the Avalanche.
Yep.
And yes, this isn't stylistically like what the Avs like to do, but what we've talked about since last year is this is a game that they can win. They can play this style of game and win. I just think that they were a little bit checked out.
I agree.
And I don't know how much the coaching staff is saying, I don't know if the coaching staff is like, hey, let's pull it back to 95%.
I think it would be the first time in history if a coaching staff was okay with anything less than 100%.
After this year, though, with all the injuries, it's like, just get out of these games injury-free.
I mean, I think you're close. I think the conversation.
I know, I'm not saying. I'm just. I guess from my perspective, playing 95%. If there's something where you feel like you might have to like tweak yourself,
totally
to make that extra effort, like keep that for the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely don't start burning yourself out or anything. but I certainly, at least publicly, I don't think Jared Bednar would ever say anything.
No,
110%. So, but I
are NHL coaches truthful in their pressers?
I don't know. John Tortorella is usually pretty truthful.
Yeah, with bad takes as well.
Well, I didn't say he was right.
No.
Just honest.
Yeah, honest to a fault. Like calling up, like throwing players under the bus. That's brutal. What would you rather have? Like the brutal honesty or more of just like the normal NHL?
Oh, honesty. I would.
You wouldn't hold it against Bednar if he came out and
No!
just threw guys under the bus?
As long as he's not doing like anything too crazy.
Yeah. All right.
But the NHL desperately needs more interesting interviews from people.
Players,
yeah,
coaches.
All of them need to be more interesting people.
Yeah, for sure.
I would take Torts. I hope he's not an asshole like Torts kind of gets sometimes, but certainly some more emotional or involved responses. And don't get me wrong, Bednar's actually a pretty good interview. He will give you long, thought out, smart responses, but when you ask him on something about he was clearly upset about in the game, all right, let's go into PR mode. Yeah. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyway, the Avs power play didn't work well after the 2-on-2 and pretty much immediately after they end up giving up the game-winning goal on the Jack Johnson turnover. And that's it. You never want to pin a loss on one guy. You kind of look at Jack Johnson directly for 2 of the 3 goals against the Avs tonight.
Absolutely.
Not a good look for him.
One direct, that first goal directly responsible for, and then I would say the third goal is indirect.
Yeah, indirect, fair enough.
Led
on the third goal.
Yeah.
You definitely look. Jack Johnson made the primary mistake there, but you'd love a little bit of better play from Manson too when it comes down to it there. And then Kemper pretty screwed on that play. Not faulting him for that one at all. But
how did you think Kemper played?
I thought he played pretty darn well. And again, a pretty low octane hockey game. He made pretty much all the saves you can reasonably ask him to make. Yeah. First goal is all world shot.
Laser.
Yeah. You just get beat by that one.
Yeah.
Second goal is a power play where a rolling puck skips over his pad off a stick to Ovi sitting on the back door. He's like, cool, I guess this is free. And then, the third one.
You think that was on purpose or not? That pass?
No, I don't think that was on purpose.
He was just trying to get something on net and it just kind of rolled over him.
Just happened.
Behind him, I guess.
Rolled just the right way for him. Yeah, I think so. So, obviously not a good game from the Avs, but also not one that I would put any stock into. I think even Bednar and crew are like, you guys didn't have it tonight, be better, but we're not going to go too deep into the footage on this one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not putting any stock in the next 6 games at all.
Yeah.
I mean, if they lose all 6 games, I know everyone will lose their mind, but I really wouldn't read into it.
All right, we can close up this period with our king of the game. We kind of already talked about him, but Artturi Lehkonen, I think he's just been great for the Avs, and on the way up, you see the 5 shots on goal there. They were working him in the bumper on the power play too, so they're getting him more involved. Again, he's like a little mini nuke out there as far as
mini nuke.
Yeah, there we go. Nuke is the fat man, and Lehkonen is the little boy.
He's like a tactical nuke.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking.
Suitcase nuke.
He's the nuclear football, confirmed. He's fitting in so well with the Avs, and I think that's what the real key is for me there.
Yeah.
With him, yes, obviously, great. Looking forward to the playoffs, but he's also an RFA, and it's a dude where you're like, I could see that guy fitting in for years to come here in Colorado. So
yeah, he looks like one of those pieces that just fits the Avs style, and has something that's unique to him. Obviously, Nuke same way, so I guess not that unique, but it's one of those pieces that you really cherish when you get a guy like that in the doors.
Well, a guy like that has the skill level too.
Yeah,
because Logan O'Connor's got a great motor, right?
Yep.
But not going to have that same finishing ability that Lech does. So really looking forward to seeing what he's got in the playoffs and beyond on that front. And you can watch the Nuggets, the Avs, the Rockies, the Broncos, all of it on Avaca TV. You can go to avaca.tv/DNVR right now. That's EVOCA.tv/DNVR. And when you sign up with the DNVR code, you get $10 off for the first 3 months. So that is all of the local sports channels and national channels for $15 a month on a box that you just hook up right to your TV. It's just like watching cable, except for it has the sports channels, and it's way cheaper. So jump on it. Go get Avaca TV today if you haven't checked it out. Go get the deal. Even after the deal, it's only $25 a month. Still way cheaper than your other options like DirecTV. So highly recommend Avaca if you haven't gotten on it. Everyone who's switched has hit us up and been like, yo, this is actually kind of sick.
Yep.
So highly recommend it, especially if you're like me, my parents, my dad loves the Avs. He wants to watch, but he's not going to jump through all the hoops of setting up a stream and going through all that. It works great for that. It's just like watching normal television. So highly recommend Avaca. Go check that out. And then if you want to get couch locked while you're watching Avaca, go on over to Lightshade and get whatever THC CBD needs you might want from their 11 locations here in Colorado. Yeah, they're great at what they do. All the people in there are super smart and will tell you way more about weed than I know. That's for sure. Also, specifically, the Escape Artist CBD topicals. Yes. Blaze is all about them, I know.
It's in my hockey bag. I tell you what. I mean, hockey's so good on your back and all your joints and all those things around you. Man, I put that stuff on. It's great. Like, seriously, I put it on my wrist before I play. Just my wrists have a lot of pain in them now that I'm getting older, and my back from
creaky bones,
being basically crouched over all the time in hockey.
6'4",
6'4" and shrinking
by the day. So they have a bunch of different versions. They have the 1-to-1, which is their normal, but if you need like the extra heavy duty, I think they go all the way up to like 20-to-1.
Yeah, the one I have right now is like it's a 1-to-1, and it has 300 THC and CBD in it. It's awesome.
So there you go. It's super easy to use. You can just apply it right to wherever the pain, and it starts working really quick too. So highly recommend if you haven't checked it out. Go over to Lightshade. You can also go online to lightshade.com. For any products not already on sale, you can use code DNVR and get 25% off. So pretty good deals on your weed right now. Go get Lightshade. As we go into the third period of the DNVR Avalanche podcast, we got a couple super chats to get to. $5 from Josh. He says, this isn't the reason we lost, but the reffing was garbage. I know y'all don't like talking about it, but this was next level suck from the Strike. I don't think it was that bad. I don't think it was good. Like, yes, you did the blatant miscall on Ovi, I think. And then the way they called the game kind of changed as it went on. We already discussed that part of it.
Yeah.
It's tough, right? When you see one blatant miscall, I think especially because the call happened so early in the game. All of a sudden, everyone's watching the game and they're picking this, the other thing, and really a lot of that stuff happens every game and goes uncalled. So I'm not saying the refs are good, because I think blanket statement on the year, they've been very bad, but I think it was a level relative to how bad they've been this year that I can live with. And I'll leave it at that.
I don't know if I have anything to rebuttal off that. I mean, yeah, they haven't been good, but I think it's just the consistency thing, right? Like that's all you're looking for. Like if you're gonna swallow the whistle and not call anything, cool. The players know. If you're gonna call everything, but it's like when it's just back and forth, it's just. Yeah, it sucks to watch. It's
also
and it's hard when you're a fan of one team.
You're on a power play and you commit interference at the blue line, not a real penalty. That's the penalty that they're like, hey, so we're going to give you a makeup call.
Yeah, there we go. It's 4-on-4 now.
That's the 100%, the makeup of makeup calls. Like every time they call that, it's a makeup.
That's the stuff that sucks.
Yeah. And then $2 from the Schick. You're spoiled when a loss like this hurts. True story. The Avs didn't go 10-0. Darn. Oh, this team, it's just not good enough. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I mean, look, obviously, Avs are great. One loss in a stretch of the season that really, look, it matters a little bit, but it doesn't really matter that much.
Once you clinch the West, I think everything else is gravy now. Like, right? Like, mission accomplished for the regular season. Like, I get President's Trophy is like the main prize, but man, I mean, if you can rest those players and know that you're going to have home ice through the West.
Yeah. And as AJ would say if he were here, I'm sure, it's one loss. As long as they don't make a pattern of it,
sure,
you're not worried about it. If they go out on Wednesday and they can't get it in gear again, if Jack Johnson gives up 2 more pizzas, then you're going, hey, I have some problems I can identify. But
are you reading into those problems? Like I again, like from my perspective, I think you could lose out and it'd still be whatever.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't feel good about losing out, but I wouldn't be that worried about it.
Yeah.
Again, it's more about one loss in a vacuum is one loss. Like, yes, you'll have issues with that game. Yes, you want to adjust that, but you haven't created any bad habits at that point. If you have 2, 3, 4 losses in a row and you're seeing something, you're identifying something and you're like, hey, we're consistently doing this poorly. That's when it's like, okay, you need to fix that. Go fix that thing and I'll feel better about it. But on the whole, the Avs are the best team in the West, no matter what they do for the rest of the regular season. So,
and I guess my comment about losing the last 6, it's like, what does that mean? Like maybe it's something where they start just limiting minutes, right?
Yeah.
So your third and fourth line are playing.
How that minutes. Bread gets made matters for sure.
For sure.
If Nathan McKinnon's minus 30 and your best players look terrible, it's like, well, that's not great. But if it's like, McKinnon's playing 14 minutes a night, and they're just resting dudes, it's like, okay, whatever, who cares? So. Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, you always want to see teams bounce back, so hopefully they do. Look, if you're asking for a get-right team, Seattle is probably it.
Yeah, I guess if you lose to Seattle, there might be some concern there.
I mean, Grubauer's due for a good game. We'll see.
That's true.
Against this old team, maybe.
If they start him.
They might not. True. They're not going to catch Arizona, I don't think, in the tank battle, but they could be working for some pick odds for sure. Anyway, we're gonna get out of here because I think this game was pretty simple and straightforward and a bit of a snooze fest, if I'm honest. So we appreciate all y'all hanging out with us tonight. Y'all are dope. Hopefully you will join us again tomorrow night. Normal show, 1 p.m. You know the drill. We'll probably talk about the playoff race in the West because that's the only thing going on in the NHL right now. And then Wednesday, we got the pregame, postgame, usual stuff you know to expect from us. So be sure to tune into all of that, like and subscribe here on YouTube. That helps us out a ton, especially when you like videos. It helps more people see it and get us in front of eyeballs of new Avs fans and people tuning in for the stretch run here. So please do that if you don't mind. And until tomorrow, we will talk to you on the next one.